Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby.
Baby. Welcome everybody to the MC Variety Hour.
Woo woo!
Woo woo! It's been a little bit since we posted an episode, but it is winter. We are slightly hibernating.
Miles and the winter do not mix.
You know what? Me either. I don't even really like to leave my house, let alone engage with others.
It's actually very true.
We had some really nasty weather. We've had some negative 40. We've had a bunch of snowfall. We've had highs and lows with the weather. Ohio's nuts.
Yeah, that's actually very true. And so it's just been kind of fucking with things. And also as a heads up, I'm recording in my son's bedroom instead of the garage. So we're going to see how the sound or the echo bounces around, which will be interesting. And my cord is fucking up my mic, so we've got a win-win situation here.
We might have like blub, 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 where we edited it, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
So besides the weather, what's been concerning you lately, Miles?
First of all,
if
you all get the stomach flu, I'm gonna let you guys know now. Just prepare for, like, death for about 24 solid straight hours. Giving that out there. I'm putting it out there. It doesn't matter if you get the flu shot. Stomach flu is a whole other ball game. And it's just... Ask what everybody...
Both ends.
Dude, it reminds me of when Radner did the Poltergeist on SNL. And, like, you know, I don't know if anybody remembers that, but, like, she was, like, sitting in a bed and, like, spewing everywhere, and she couldn't, like, stop. That's literally how it is. So don't get the stomach flu, folks.
Please don't get I've had the stomach flu. It's awful.
Dude, it's fucking terrible.
If you're not puking, you might be pooping. It is a great way to lose 5 pounds right quick.
Oh, dude, yeah. Totally. I've actually lost 8 because of the fact that I wasn't able to eat a full meal until last night. Like, almost like an entire week later, almost, before I could actually, like, digest real food.
That's upsetting.
Dude, it is. It's really, because it makes me really hangry. Like, I'm not a winter, most people, I think we talked about this last year, because I, in the winter, don't mix. For mood swings, and then also for sickness. It's not a good combination. I go in. Me and you both have talked about how we like to go into hermit stage.
Yeah, I don't care to come out.
No, and not only that, but like it really is the menial task. Like, well, I mean, podcasting, all you have to do is sit in your own home. Okay, that's not the point. Like, yes. I have to open up a computer.
I have to engage with others.
Yeah, and I just...
It's the same as go to the store.
Right, and I can't... My mental health is not well. And then you throw some illness on that shit, man. Fuck that.
Yeah, I'll be back. It reminds me of, like, on TV when they'd be like, we'll be right back. It'd have the rainbow screen off air.
That's what we're waiting for. We went off air. We went kind of incognito. I even stayed... I mean, I creeped on social media from time to time, but, you know, I haven't really been as engaged as I usually am.
Me either.
You know, and that happens, right? You know?
We do that. We come and go. That's what makes us so special.
It actually is. We get right back to it. And I mean, concerning Crawford, you hit it when you talked about the weather in Ohio. I think that a lot of people are dumb when they don't understand that this chaotic winter, and many chaotic, since, you know, the chaos happening around the world in general, has to do with this thing called climate change.
Right.
And I get it. It's not that we haven't had these very, for lack of better terms, bipolar winters, where, I mean, it really did go from negative 46 degrees to 55 in a matter of 2 days.
Yep. That's Ohio weather.
Yeah. Then it was like more snowfall, warming back up, then like freezing rain. It's chaos. And everybody just is like, well, I remember this one time. Okay. Yes. We can remember X amount of years in which we've had some very chaotic winters. And that is because they are becoming normal to us. But it's actually not normal for us to have this kind of drastic weather change all at once. And not only that, but remember this, folks. I mean, look, I don't like the cold either, but I like the cold because it kills the things that need to die.
Yeah, we need a good freeze. Ticks. Please.
And not like negative 46 for a day. I'm talking like we need like an entire week or 2 or 3 even of like
deep
just
freeze.
Yeah, you know, and yes, the electric bill is going to suck. Yes, all these things are terrible. And trust me, I get it. But us not having these normal-esque winters mean that that's going to be even more of a chaotic a summer, which means that the mosquitoes last year, as we all know, are pretty bad because it never got cold enough last winter even to kill off the mosquitoes. And now this winter's, even though we went through the polar vortex, which isn't Canada's fault even as much as we would like to blame it, but that still isn't. It's not, and the things that the polar vortex killed, it's not just about Ohio, it's about the entire United States. I mean, down in Texas, they had like, the high for the day was like 28 degrees, and again, that's not normal. So they're killing the things that need to stay alive in Texas, not killing things that need to die in Ohio, and everyone's getting sick, and y'all aren't vaccinating your kids because you guys are more...
Oh, that's one hell of a measles outbreak over there in Washington and Oregon, huh? Or is it like outside of Portland, I think? It's in Washington, but they said it's like outside of Portland it spread. I'm not sure, but I guess that they've had a surge in people vaccinating their kids all of a sudden, though.
And is it... are people like really... Okay, have we legitimately become that scared of having a child with some spectrum of autism? Okay, let's just let's play the game, Crawford. Let's say that vaccines really do cause autism in kids.
Right.
Okay, let's just say.
Like automatically or randomly?
Randomly.
Okay.
Have we? So, autism is a sure random chance that your kid's going to get it. Let's just say that's scientific fact, even though it's not. But are we really that scared of autism that we won't even make, like, we're more okay with like making other people's kids sick just so we don't have to possibly have a more difficult time parenting? Because of a lot of parents that I know, and I have quite a few friends who have autistic children, they all range, you know, and I get that there are, you know, there's a severe, and then there's more of like, you know, very high functioning, you know, there's all these different aspects, spectrums.
There's a ton of different levels of autism or kinds. I don't really, it's fascinating.
Asperger's. These parents, Asperger's, exactly. And then, what is it, like, there's a kind where, you know, they can still, like, social interactions are difficult, which, I mean, when isn't it difficult to fucking socially interact? You know?
Yeah, it's like they're starting to label, like, every last little tick in somebody's personality or what makes us, but, you know, like, it's like a list of...
Why are we so scared of it? Is my question. Like, why are we so scared about having to possibly have, like, why
you know, what
has
I've
that
found
scared
is
ourselves?
It's people forget history. Like, I bring that up all the time because we see, you know, like, there's a resurgence, and like there was an argument about abolishing minimum wage. It's like, you don't realize why we originally made a minimum wage or had unions or have Roe versus Wade. You know, people forget about the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, things like that. Civil rights is because those generations die out. We didn't experience those things for ourselves, and so it's like we just forget it. Since we didn't experience, we have to be like, whoa, we should just go back to doing it. I don't know. It just... So vaccines are awful. They're bad. Well, we didn't live in an age where, like somebody else had said, like, you know, you'd have 14 kids and 5 would live to be adults. You know, that's why we have vaccinations. That's just... we don't have that anymore. And a lot of times when I argue with people who are anti-vaccine, that's my point, is they'll try and cite something like you have a 1 in a huge number chance of contracting this disease, and it's like, yes, but you don't understand the concept of herd immunity. Like, we need to keep at least like a 95 to a 98% herd immunity in order to keep everybody protected. When people don't vaccinate their kids, it drops it down. And it causes a health risk for everybody.
I think that's what bothers me, is because also parents have to remember that there are kids who they can't get vaccines.
Right, yes, there's kids, yes.
So you're willing to kill somebody else's child.
Because selfish worries or unfounded worries even.
Yeah. It's really astonishing to me when somebody said, well, nobody really died of the measles, so I don't understand. Or the only person who had the measles who died from it already had, autoimmune disorders. First of all, again, had the person with autoimmune disorders been able to been vaccinated or had been vaccinated, I'm not sure. It could have been a health reason why they never had been vaccinated in the first place. Maybe they wouldn't have died from it. And two, I want to reiterate this as much as possible. 179,000 people died of the measles in 2017. And that's globally. And that is correct. And not 179,000 people did not die in America. Okay. But they died globally. 179,000 people died globally from the measles in 2017. And you're worried that it's not, you think that it's not happening because it's not happening here, but it's more of like it's not happening here yet.
You know what? To me, it's worth, when you get the sheet, get kid vaccinated, and it tells you about all the side effects on it. To me, the small amount of risk that comes from vaccine injuries is worth the protection that it gives. To me, I'm like, yeah, there are side effects of vaccines. There's some things that can go wrong, but it's such a low chance, and it protects against so many things. To me, it's like, just vaccinate, or at least get the basic ones that kill, or maim, or decrease the quality of life by quite a bit.
Well, exactly.
Severely injuring people.
And it's like, and what I love the most is that everybody, and I'm not going to lie, that when the chickenpox vaccine first came out, I remember being like, what the fuck? Like, chickenpox was like, what, to me was like a rite of passage.
Right, you have to do it, yeah.
And I'm still on the fence. Now, what really honestly changed my mind about the chickenpox vaccine was all of us who were exposed to chickenpox. There is a percentage of us who are getting shingles.
Yes.
And so I had met people who dealt with shingles because they had chickenpox.
Yeah, I've heard that's very painful.
Extremely painful. Debilitating. Beyond debilitating. It's kind of like, I don't know, an intense, from my understanding, it's, if you could mix an intense migraine plus the pain of fibromyalgia and possibly like the overall body, like excruciating pain that women go through as birth, happening in spurts throughout a day. Like, that's not a fun feeling. And it's very, and shingles, it comes and it goes. So you could be sitting there fine and then suddenly like you're completely out your work and just trying to work through it, but you can't see straight, you can't breathe right, everything hurts so bad that you're unable to focus. So, especially when I watch people go through shingles, that I realized how important the chickenpox vaccine was, because I wouldn't want my kid, even if they're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, ever to go through that, simply because I thought that they had a rite of passage that they had to go through.
Right.
It's like, hey, and I am, concerned about the Gardasil. And I know that we talked about this before, and Parker chose to get it because I told him his body, his choice. And I'm still, iffy, okay? But so far, knock on wood, we're good. He still has 2 more rounds to go through for the Gardasil. Right. But again, I sit there and say, hey, 1 out of every 2 people have HPV, and HPV grows into, could be dormant, and you could have it your entire life and have no idea, and you spread it to all these other people, and never, and I don't, majority of the time, people, obviously if you don't know you have it, you don't know you're spreading it to other people, but now you're also giving that disease to people unintentionally who could have a high rate of a lot of things. Now you, a girl who's already had a family history of cancer, you've now given HPV, and now that HPV has turned into stage 3 cervical cancer by the time that she's 25.
Yes.
You know, and again, am I very hesitant still on it? Yes. Do I still worry about the possibilities? Yes. Do I know about the stories? Have I read about the stories? Absolutely. I did my research. But at the end of the day, I have 2 boys. Boys are the main common carrier of HPV. It's just, you know, it's how it is. What am I going to do? How can they, you know, and Parker's same reasoning was a great reason, which was if I don't have to have it, and I can't give it to somebody else, I'd rather not give it to somebody else. Like, for him, it wasn't just about protecting himself. It was the fact that he could be a carrier and give it to somebody and not know about it. You know, and I think that's, you know, okay, that's your, but again, it's your body, your choice. That's why I love these teenagers who are getting vaccinated without their parents' knowledge, because to me, I mean, I get it. As a baby, I think babies, you know, if the baby can be vaccinated, I think they need to get the measles, mumps, rubella. We don't have scarlet fever for a reason.
Right, we don't have whooping cough. We don't have polio. Oh, okay. I thought my mic was off for a second. Polio, measles. Let's see, you mentioned measles.
Measles, mumps, rubella, polio.
But they had a couple of instances of polio in the United States because of unvaccinated people. Yeah, I've been reading a little bit about it, and I'm just like, what the fuck, man? You know,
and it has, and everybody did forget. They forgot about the iron lung machine. I mean, there was a video, I think it was on Vice the other day, that was, you know, literally, there's a guy who's 63 years old who is still, because polio still cannot, by the way, still can't be cured. He's still living his entire life in the iron lung machine. Like,
right.
Dude, like, seriously, he is 63 years old, and yes, he's still alive, but...
There's pictures of people back in the 60s and stuff, you know,
yeah,
when that was a common thing for people to have their home as a healthcare option.
It boggles my mind, and I don't understand the reasoning for, because some, like, seriously, it's been debunked. Like, the doctor who came out with that vaccinated, like, that vaccines are...
Yes, it was this highly skewed, it was one fucking study.
It was one study, and actually he even came out and blatantly admitted that it was based off of, like, it was literally written because of some, like, pharmaceutical payoff bullshit. I don't remember. But he legitimately said, like, I wrote all of this. This is all completely false testimony. None of this is true.
And still people are just like, nope. They cause all kinds of... Did you read the story about the young man who turned 18 and decided to go and just vaccinate himself?
Oh, yeah, that was awesome. I was so proud of him, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that parents, especially as your teenagers are growing, if you haven't vaccinated your kid, you need to give your kid that right. Like, just because it's your belief doesn't mean that your child has to believe it too. I don't think I've never understood that following.
Right.
Because it's like, you know, it's like politics. Just because I believe something doesn't mean that my kids necessarily have to believe it either. You know, like, just because I believe that, you know, just because I believe in vaccinations, you know, I have friends who are anti-vax, and I'm like, I
know.
It takes everything out of me to, like, not, like, bash my head against the wall when I'm talking to them and trying to wrap my head around it, because I have a very difficult time listening to people who are anti-vax.
Right.
But I know that bullying them is not going to work either. Making them feel stupid and ridiculing them is not going to change their mind. So we need to have also a very open-ended conversation with the anti-vaxxers and quit calling them names and making them feel maybe more emboldened, you know, because they think that they're doing something that's right instead of choosing to try to be more educated.
Right.
But I think the parents should give their kids, you know, if for some reason you've been able to allow your kid in the public school system for the first like 13 or 14 years of their life without having any vaccinations, and I feel like at that point kids start to understand at least their bodies and the pro cons. At that point you start letting your kid go into the doctor's office without mom sitting in the room the entire time.
Yes.
That's the same time that the kids should be able to be making decisions for their own health and well-being.
I agree with that to a certain point, only because they're young and sometimes they need guidance.
Oh, I agree.
But having a say in their bodies and them being people, that affects their future. So things like vaccinations and their health care, like people who are like, oh, we're just gonna pray this cancer away, and if the kid's like, no, I'd like the, I think that they should have a say in serious matters like that,
Absolutely, and I think that vaccines are something that is a very serious matter, in my opinion. I feel like it really can become life or death. As you're talking about, you think it doesn't matter until your kid goes to college. Wait until they are fully... it's not that in the public schools they're not being surrounded by a group of a very diverse people, but especially more so in college, because you have a lot of the best way I can put it is that you have a lot a multiculturalism that goes on in majority of colleges.
Right.
So you have a lot of people that aren't just America from New York, or from California diversity. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people from different, altogether upbringings, and everything that they have been surrounded by, they are bringing into those colleges. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're just talking about somebody maybe who's lived in the Congo, though, or who's lived in Vietnam. There's a whole... again, it's just about, like you said, it's about herding. That the herd of Vietnam
herd
is a
immunity.
Yep, their immunity is completely different than ours, and what they have to ward off what we have, and how their bodies interact with that is you're talking about this whole entire different ball game, and now you're going to have these college students. It's not now you're going to have these grown ass adults who are at the tipping point of changing their entire lives. And their lives are going to stop simply because they get a disease that could possibly and forever change them, paralyze them, put them in a hospital, make them, all these things, make them lose scholarships, make them lose their ability to use their muscles. And
yeah, could you imagine that? A whole bunch of college dorm full of unvaccinated kids?
God, that's fucking frightening to me. That is the most frightening scenario, actually, Crawford. That is fucking scary.
Just wipe out a whole campus of kids. Wow.
It's true, though. You really could. And that is one of those things that it scares me about when my kids go to college, because there's a bunch of these dumbass kids out there.
Yeah.
Who are running around unvaccinated. And, which granted, my kids are vaccinated. Well, if your kid's been vaccinated, you shouldn't have to worry. Here's the thing, though.
I don't think in college you have to submit your vaccination record, so...
I don't remember. Do.
Yeah, so you don't even know.
You have no idea. Or people who are going to fib, because everybody lies and does what they can to get into these fucking colleges. What are you going to do?
Right.
When you literally have an entire dorm, a few thousand people who are all dying because of something that could have been prevented because Gwyneth Paltrow or some fucking stupid star that for whatever God knows reason y'all fucking admire told you not to do it. What the fuck? Stop with this dumb shit. If you guys want to idolize somebody, go talk to a scientist.
I don't understand why people, they act like you can have different views on reality when it's no, reality is just reality. Facts are facts. They're not whatever you want to make it. They're facts. So,
Was it coming from us watching The Matrix too much?
Maybe that's what it is. Okay. And we're just in a glitch. That's goofy.
No. So what's grinding your gears, Miss Crawford?
Life in general, really. No, things are good. I'm not enjoying this weather at all. I've shoveled more than I care to snovel to shovel for the rest of the winter. We've had way too much snow. This is more snow than we've had in like 5 years. I know I keep bringing it back to the weather, but I'm just like, my gosh, it was snowing earlier and snowing last night. I'm like, this is so much snow.
How did our parents do it? I mean, I don't understand.
I know. Did you take your kids sledding at all this year?
No.
I don't.
Nobody
I never did either.
I mean, I should. I think
I'm just
Jackson,
not fond of cold weather. I'm sorry,
dude,
kids.
none of us are. And okay, it makes it. Take them outside. Toughen them up. Okay, I get that. But
I'm cold too.
But I'm cold. Okay, there's that. Two. My youngest hates to get hurt. Like, hates it. Like, he doesn't like to be uncomfortable in any sort of way. Like, doesn't like certain textures. What are you going to do when the kid, like, biffs on a fucking sled?
Right.
Like, and now everybody's cold and crying and pissed off. Like, it's sledding. And I used to take the kids sledding a lot when they were younger. It always turned out to be a very bad situation. Everybody ended up really pissed off by the end of it. Somebody's hurt, something's broken, somebody's crying, everyone's cold, everything hurts. Like, it's fun. Sledding is fun for like the first 2 trips.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, let's go home.
And exactly, like, find 2 good
elevator.
hills, have your shit scared out of you, go home. But yeah, we're not big. I mean, we're not big sledders. And again, maybe it's where we live. Maybe if, like, we were born and raised in, like, Colorado or somewhere like that, where there's, like, legit hills.
A little bit more rugged, yeah.
You're more rugged, or even living in North Dakota, had we kept there and raised the kids there, maybe, 20 degrees and some wind wouldn't stop us, but I'm a fucking pansy and my body hurts.
I don't understand why they don't put escalators in. I think escalators would be a great idea. I would be all for sledding.
Yeah.
If there were escalators.
Some kind of, like, outdoor system. Like, even a pulley system. Mm-hmm. I'll
pull myself up.
Yeah. But the whole fucking, like, having to walk all the way down the hill, grab your kid, walk all the way back up the hill.
Sledging through that snow.
Yeah.
Slipping and sliding.
We're a bunch of bitches. But
I never call myself the perfect mother, so...
No.
No apologies.
I think it's just that it's... and again, maybe it's just me, but like I said, I'm just... And maybe, I'm ruining my own kid's winter because of my own ability to, like I said, winter is not good to me, mentally and physically. And so it really becomes like this game, of like, look, I could probably take you sledding, but I'm going to set my car, and if you, like, break your leg, you might be sitting there for, like, a hot minute before I realize you haven't walked back up the hill your damn self.
You know what happens.
God. Hey, did you watch the Grammys?
No, but I did see the headlines the next day.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Grammys either. I heard they were getting, like, some of the lowest ratings ever.
Well, that's probably because they have trash. I don't know anybody that... Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, they're not relevant to me anymore. So, I give a shit. It's all shitty music.
It really is true. Grammys are trash. I mean, I was proud of Cardi B being the first female rapper, and Childish Gambino for This Is America. Those were some badass things.
Yeah, I like those. Have you seen that show, Atlanta?
Yes. Binged the shit out of that, like, 2 months ago. Fucking loved it.
Yeah, me too. And I'll tell you what, they're not going to have another season for a while. I'm bummed out. I'm like, man, I really like this series.
Yeah. Dude, Atlanta's amazing. I think... And I didn't get Atlanta when I first watched it. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was just kind of like, meh, this is alright. And then I had to go back to it. And I went back to it and I was like, holy fuck, man. Like, this is amazing. And I love this show. I loved it.
I really like it. I like the characters on it, so.
Yeah. Well, what I found interesting was since Childish Gambino won the Grammy, now suddenly out of the woodwork, despite all of the fame that This Is America was getting, now suddenly somebody pops out of the woodwork talking about how he was like a couch surfing, money sucking, blah, 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 before he ever got famous. And it's like, well, that's where, I mean, if I'm not wrong, that's kind of where everybody is, right? Like every actor with some like couch surfing, poor ass.
Yeah, usually they live hand to mouth.
Yeah, and well, he stole my beats. Well, again, this song has been out for a year. It made headlines across every newscast when this video came out. Like, where were you when this song originally was yours? Like, I don't... Shit, I'm telling you.
I saw that. I was like, okay, whatever.
It's ridiculous. Let's see. What else we got going on in the headlines these days? I mean, I really just feel like the headlines have been nonstop.
I asked you about something. Oh, I know.
What?
What do you think about all of these women coming out for bids for president for 2020?
Dude.
We got, what, 2 or 3 now?
God, I think... Okay, so... I had this conversation a few months ago with Dem All Over. So I went on their podcast. I don't even know. I think it's like a backup episode somewhere along the lines. I mean, it could be like broadcasted in like January or for like June or July for all I know. But
I kind of remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and so we were talking then about what would happen if these people start to run. And the very first person I said, the one thing that's going to end up ruining the Democratic Party, and as much as I love a lot of Elizabeth Warren's piss and vinegar. I love her. I'm not sure if I'm ready to stand behind her, per se, just yet.
Just yet, me too.
Okay, I think it's not because we can use the words old and shrill, because that's what we used on Hillary. But there is some things about Elizabeth Warren that I'm not real sure about. And it's not that I don't think that she couldn't make a damn good president. And that she couldn't lead the nation into great things. But I also feel that her nomination does to some degree very much hurt the Democratic, because it's, I don't know, like it's so wrong of me to say this because I'm a woman, right? Like,
no, I don't think so. I think she's a little extreme too, and I think that she does great work as a senator because she's very niche, as far as her causes. But I don't think that she would appeal to a broad audience like somebody needs to in order to capture enough of the votes to win the presidency. Right, and that's my concern. And I think that it's great that there's, Kamala Harris being out there. And again, I think it's fantastic that all these women are running for president. Who I have actually been able to throw I'm not putting any of my eggs actually into any one of these baskets. I mean, Cory Booker. I've talked very highly of Cory Booker. But there's also a lot of problems with Cory Booker. There's a lot of problems with everybody they've put out there. And as much as everybody knows that I'm a Bernie girl, because God, I do love me some Bernie Sanders. He's too old to run. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about what we need somebody younger. I'm tired of all these old politicians.
Yeah, and that's the same thing where, I appreciate everybody loving Nancy Pelosi and her little, fucking clapbacks and all, but Nancy also, needs to fucking get the fuck out.
Let's bring in a new generation.
Let's bring in a generation that actually represents us.
I do like our sassy younger generation that's in there.
I do. And AOC, look, I'm waiting.
She's a ball buster, dude.
Dude, I can't wait in 10 years from now. As long as nobody kills her off, and I'm very honest about this.
Yeah, very concerned about that.
Very concerned, but give that woman 10 years, because I'm real excited for 10 years from now.
Give her a little bit of life experience and experience in politics. She can be a real powerhouse.
Yeah, she's gonna be
just her entering. She's just a rookie right now,
Yeah, she is genuinely a rookie, and I think that she will be in 10 years from now, well, where we're hitting our mid 40 sections. I know, right?
I know,
of life. Oh god, that scary word. But she will be our Kennedy.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And I really liked her stone face look during the State of the Union. That
fucking white and her Kate fucking shit. Oh god, and bring the immigrant pen. Like,
yeah,
get it,
she was. I liked her response on Twitter about it. Like, no, I didn't have a smile on my face. We're talking about the State of the Union.
I know, and like. And it's funny because, but here's like the thing, I love her, and if she were to run for president, I'm not sure if I'm ready for her to be president either.
Right, me either.
I'm not right now. Like we're in such a discombobulated fucking state that it is so disheartening to try to wrap my head around the bullshit. Because see, what's gonna happen in the first 4 years is going to be exactly what happened in Barack's first 4 years. Even if we get a Dem, like, per se, Crawford, let's say that we get Elizabeth Warren in 2020. Let's per se it. So Elizabeth Warren is going to have to clean up a $22 trillion debt mess. She is going to have to fix, the entire fucking offices that Trump has not taken care of. Every position he hasn't.
Never filled the positions.
Never filled the positions. She's going to have to go back to deregulate every deregulation that he allowed to be regulated.
Have to roll it all back.
She's going to have to fix all of that, and she's going to have to fix so much of his mess that her first 4 years is going to look like she didn't accomplish anything.
Trying to do all that, she'll just be just like Obama, Congress and the Senate. They just made sure that he didn't get anything done, and then tried to say that he didn't get anything done because he couldn't, and it was like, no, you stopped him, you stifled him from being able to do any of the things that he wanted to do.
Well, and that's what worries me.
Our country's been stuck for 10, 15 years now. I'm tired of it.
Well, it's because we do this thing where we'll put a Dem in office, but we'll fucking ignite an entire Congress and Senate that's Republican. We'll put a Republican in office. Well, shit, actually, we gave them the House and Senate. I mean, we fucking gave the Republicans 2 solid years of fucking off. And then, and vice versa. Then we're going to fucking fill it back up with Dems. And the problem is that of all the people that are there, there's like 20 that might actually speak for our general consensus of how much money we make and our general consensus of our age.
There should be definitely a demographic that represents the demographic of the United States.
Yeah, I agree to that, and I think it's very hard for anybody right now to have faith in our government. I feel that the ideology of American democracy is gone. I find it strange what parts of the Constitution we have picked up and chosen to hang on to, while the rest that we live and die by for some stupid reason.
Right.
I find it interesting about the way that we treat the media. There's a whole thing going on right now that I'm real fucking unsure of.
You know what I find interesting is the parallels between Trump's presidency and Nixon's presidency in the nation's different reactions. I mean, you can see just in the generations, or it's a completely different reaction from back then during, Watergate and all that, as to oppose. Trump's done far worse than Watergate, and they're just like, eh.
Yeah, it's this. They're so. What it really has come down to is and I will blame media and definitely social media for this aspect, is that we are so much quicker to blame. How about this? We're so willing to fight for what we think will win on social media aspects that we don't care about the morality of it.
Right.
We're ready to say, I know that what this man is doing is morally unjust and corrupt.
Or ethically.
Very ethically.
But as long as he gets us what he wants, we don't care the cost.
Exactly. And I can't admit, because I have so feverishly trolled Facebook and Twitter, that I can't to even pretend that he is doing something wrong means that I am wrong, and that there's no longer an audience of 10 or 15 people who have bullshitted with that work. There's an audience of 2 or 3 or 400 Facebook friends.
Right.
Who will jump, and that's a problem as us as a society as well, though. We're willing to jump literally the minute somebody fucks up. Like, we call that shit out left and right. You fucked up, you fucking more. Like, we're ready to pounce by hundreds, by the thousands. We're ready for it.
Yes.
But we forget how, like, that's stage fright right there.
Yeah.
That's scary to, like, get on there, to get on a social media aspect and say, I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry I didn't see it this way, or I have learned my lesson. And instead of us being grateful, and instead of us saying, I'm glad that you have learned from your mistakes, let's move forward, we're going to sit here and mock your ass. And then somebody's going to find that shit, screenshot it, put it on Twitter, put it on Reddit, send it up, you know.
And then that becomes the conversation instead of the main issue.
Exactly. And now this person who now put themselves in this scary limelight, admitted to maybe voting incorrectly or believing in the wrong thing, or, you know, whatever it is that had done whatever they had done, instead of us accepting it with grace, with dignity, we instead make these people feel so terrible about themselves, and we mock them. And we think that somehow is going to change people's voting opinions.
Yeah.
And you're not. You're literally ruining somebody's life because now you feel smart. Good for you. Hand fucking clap. Yay, yay. You're a fucking bully and you're an asshole. Like, allow some of these... It doesn't
accomplish anything. What's the point, you know?
And what have we accomplished, Crawford?
Nothing.
Like,
just a lot of arguing and name calling and people drawing lines in the sand and not getting along. We're not getting anything done. There's no conversation. It's all arguments. But we haven't... I've been very disappointed in this country for like the last 50 years just about, or at least the last 30. I haven't really accomplished anything. It's been the same recycled arguments.
And it really has.
And the rich get richer and the poor get poor. And they divide the poor by creating racial tensions that I don't think are as bad as what they're portrayed. Not amongst people with each other. There's definitely racism when it comes to people of color trying to advance their lives in ghettos. And I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about when I grew up diverse and poor. And when you're poor and hungry, you really don't care what color the person next to you who's hungry. You're both looking for something to eat. You know what I mean? So, I think that's something that's used as a tool to keep us from bonding together, because if everybody who was poor bonded together against the system, it would be a revolution then. And so we create a lot of racial disparity in order, you know, and I'm not saying that none of that exists. I'm saying it's created especially for that reason.
Well, exactly. And I know that me and you have talked about this on so many of our podcasts, you know, about that we know that there are white supremacists out there. We know that there are even within
anti-Semitics. There's people who just, you know, hate other people because they hate them, and there is a lot of racism and hatred and bigotry out there.
They're actually a lot smaller, and they are growing because we've put our focus in on them. And it's the same theory about why don't we no longer talk about the name of the gun? Like, we try to hide some of the shootings because the more popular they are, the more that you're going to get the copycats.
Right. The more famous you make a killer, the more they copycat.
Yes, because somebody wants the fame. And that's what we've done with racism.
Right.
And people are joining in, and it's not that there's... We've all know that there are an underlying amount of people, and no matter how far they're willing to fight, for equality, to some degree, they probably... And we can't sit here on our hands and say, this is never us. Because there are people out there who have those underlying, deep thoughts of, they only got that because they are Jewish, Black, Asian, Mexican.
Right.
Those underlying thoughts that could stay dormant and just something that, comes and goes. And it's just, again, it's about the way that you were raised, how people talked around you, what you were taught. Right. How you were raised by the generation around you sits dormant and it never gets exposed. But then you suddenly see this fame of other people who are who are putting up the Nazi signs, who are setting fires to houses, who are walking in these marches with their fucking tiki torches and their red hats. And now suddenly you want to join in that not because you're necessarily 100% believe in it, but because maybe somewhere deep down inside, that backwards fucking thinking that you have been taught that you didn't buy into, but now you can buy into it. Now your racist grandmother's shit made sense to you. Now maybe you have something to hang on to on the hereditary side of things because this was bred into you, and even though you didn't believe it, now there's everybody saying that this is the popular thing to do. So let's go with the masses. It's it's the exact same theory of what angers me the most, which is what are they called, influencers?
Yes, influencers. That's what they're called.
I fucking hate them. This is stupid. I have never understood this. I really believe that with enough effort, and I'm talking maybe 40% extra effort of my life, I really could bullshit myself to be in somebody. I really could. That's why I love Gina Linetti from fucking the Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That bitch can, she can just make anything famous because she's like, dude, you fucking get on Instagram, Twitter, do this,
yeah.
I'm a fucking...
funny.
Dude, she was... Money, exactly. Dude, maybe not my looks, but let me take this person's look, put my fucking words to it, blow that shit up all over fucking social media. And suddenly I'm an influencer. Suddenly what I have to say matters. People are following the herds. We followed the influencers, and now we're following what the media is telling us. Well, these racists, all these yeah, but that racist, he's not wrong.
Right.
I know they're wrong, but somebody in their head says, yeah, but he's kind of right? And they're not sure if that person who's a racist prick on the TV is correct, but there's something about what they're saying might speak to them because your parents were taught that somebody who's poorer than you, even though you're poor, is bad. Somebody's still as poor as you, and you're just as poor as them, but because they got caught, or their parents got sent to jail, you're now better than them.
Right.
And we're going to stigma that. And you're going to just grow up with this. And your parents aren't maybe outward racist. They just kind of make those little remarks. Use that language. And then maybe, because you're so easily influenced by YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and all that shit, now you hear somebody on TV talking about, well, it's not fair that this person gets paid this amount of money and got this college degree based on their sex and their race and blah, 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 blah. And even though nobody talks about why there's so many people who are behind the curve just because we were born with already being 3 steps ahead of the game, they heard something they like and now they're influenced to follow it. We created a world full of white supremacists because we made it something cool to do. We were so scared of a mixed president that as soon as he left office, the only thing we focused in on more after Barack Obama's birth certificate was racism. There was nothing we focused in on more than racism the minute that man got out of office.
Right.
Suddenly,
It was just an excuse. Everything was. He was under such a microscope, and they don't hold Trump to the same standard that he did.
No.
But they made a big, huge fuss because he wore a tan suit instead of a blue one.
I mean, right. And now we've got... And I'm not saying that Trump's not a racist, fucking bigoted asshole, because he is. But because he's just outwardly speaking derogatory thoughts that other people have had. And because we were so ready to have another white male in office, we were okay.
That's what it all came down to.
And the minute that we had got another white male in office, suddenly racial tensions are like, boom, like forefront.
People were so angry for 8 years.
And there were 30,000 people who were super pissed in America because Barack Obama was born in fucking Hawaii.
Right.
Like, and they made that turn into what has become the sham that America is today. Because we said, everyone matters, all lives matter, and we took that as saying, go to 30,000 people in all of America, and let's reform our entire conversation around this. Because Trump never had the numbers in the beginning. When Trump very first threw his hat into the ring amongst all the Republicans.
No, he just got the most press coverage. That's how he won.
Exactly.
Because he was so outlandish and so crazy that they kept focusing on him and not the 15 other candidates that they had.
And again, Ben Carson was a fucking moron. Fuck, he's so stupid. But Ben Carson never had an opportunity because we focused in on him talking about fucking silos being made, like Egyptian pyramids being made of like corn because he's a nutcase. Dude, fucking neurosurgeon. I don't even understand. Now he's in charge of HUD, which is even frightening. But here's the thing. But still to this day, though, that man could have been educated and he would have known how to read a briefing due to his fucking college education. But Trump just doesn't care because he knows his entire presidency is based on flattery.
Yes.
And we base that presidency. We made him this way because we'd rather be influenced by social media and by Instagram and what people tell us what we're supposed to like.
Shocker journalism.
Exactly.
Or memes that have no source or facts. It's just words on a picture.
We would rather watch Jerry Springer than the actual news. And that's how Trump became president, you know?
And then you have people who are like, that's all fake news. Like, no, that's reality.
Which pill are you going to take, Neo? The red pill or the blue pill?
Or the blue one. Well, I'm going to take the one that's not fake news. I don't know. Up is down, left is right. The world's crazy anymore, and I think it's frightening.
I know. And I'm so sorry. This has really turned into a very serious podcast. And
oh, that's all right. We haven't had one in a while.
We really haven't. I've been, like I said, I've been hiding. I've been hiding in the reclusiveness of my...
She's been in her cave, everybody. I've been in my cave, too.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
We love our caves, though. Like, our caves are there. And soon, daylight savings will hit us. And we will be like the bears coming out of the caves and be like, Crawford, the sun is still out. I'll come and hang out with you on your place and we can podcast together because I'll be motivated.
That'd be awesome, dude.
I know. You don't even live that far away. I actually got to get my rotor fixed. That's my plan this weekend, to get my rotors fixed so I can actually start driving my car longer than like 10 minutes out, you know. I can Mount Blanchard's about as far as I take my car anymore these days. Anything farther than that, I get slightly worried about. So, once I get that rotor fixed, I'll be like, hey, boo.
Woohoo, look at me. I'm traveling out of town, y'all.
Yeah, I have been in that situation. I'll be so excited again to be traveling and driving and being like, dude. And then my funk will be out. And it'll be fantastic to be out of the funk.
It'll be amazing.
And we need a podcast again, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. My cord. Oh,
I still hear you.
Okay.
I still hear you.
Good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Was I going to say something?
You were going to tell me what we're going to podcast about next.
Oh, you know what? I had an idea earlier I was going to ask you about, and I can't remember what it was. I should have wrote it down. I tried to, that way I don't interrupt you. I try to write things down that I think of when you're talking so I don't interrupt. And I didn't write it down, and it was all about, like, you know what we should talk about next podcast? I wish I could remember it.
Are we going to talk about sloths?
You know what? I love sloths. You know how I feel. I do. They're just so cute. Actually, I was watching videos of sloths about 2 days ago. Mostly crossing roads because I just love them. They move so slow, and they're like, yeah, this is fun. I did watch a video yesterday of a little parakeet popping up from underneath the newspaper, and he kept saying, peekaboo. I watched that was the cutest thing I've seen all week.
Oh my god, that is really cute. That's super cute. Did you see the one where the sloth crossed the road and then gave the human a high five afterwards?
Yeah, he turned around and gave him a little high five.
That's my man right there.
Animals are great.
By
Animals
the way,
are amazing.
Fucking koalas Twitter, okay? Because the sloths, even though they lost, they still win our hearts.
You know what? Koalas are vicious, though. People are like, they're so cute. No, they're actually kind of vicious. So sloths all the way, man.
Yeah. Like, koalas are just large-sized fucking raccoons.
Yeah, they're trash bandits. Live in trees and hang out all day. I don't know. There's a lot of weird-ass animals. You know, the weirdest animals are in the ocean. We don't ever see those fuckers that hang out on the bottom.
Those are the best kind of animals to hang out with, man. We do have the polar bears. I mean, they're coming out. They're invading Russia right now. I mean, we don't even need to go to war. I mean, we've got animals doing it for us, man.
I watched a documentary about polar bears and how things are getting rougher and rougher for them. So I think that's climate change. That's them looking for food, and like because the ice is melting, they can't hang out. They can't live where they did. They have to move. They're moving. They're migrating because they're dying. They're going longer and longer without food because it's all melty and all that. So I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while.
We're just a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, save the polar bears is still a thing.
Yeah.
I think save the whales, too, but I'm not sure.
Save the whales. Polar bears. Now giraffes have made it to the extinction list as well. So giraffes are going extinct.
But anyways, we're coming up on our hour here, buddy. So you got any shout-outs? Oh, I can't hear you if you're talking. I see your mouth moving.
Well, then you might do a shout-outs.
All kinds of great things, everybody.
Shout-outs.
Actually,
do them.
She'll probably hear it on your recording, so this might be okay. We might be able to just trim this little part right here.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to give a shout out to everybody because I honestly am so far behind that I have no idea even how
I'm not hearing you at all.
Get it.
You know, I'm not real sure why.
I don't know either.
I have my volume turned down.
I literally can't do shout outs because I literally have been such a hermit. I have the only podcast I've actually really truthfully listened to, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but it was two of them, and that was Alan Alda because he got together with all the MASH buddies. Him and Loretta Swit, Mike Farrell, Gary Berghoff, Jimmy Farr. They all got together and did a podcast, which I was super pumped to listen to. And then This American Life did a podcast on Dopey. And
did they?
They did, and Dopey shot up to number one of all podcast listens, pretty much on from Podbean, iTunes. Dopey shot right the fuck up after that podcast.
That's
aired.
really cool.
And those were the two, and all the rest of them I got to catch up on, all of you guys. But I do love everybody who still gets the shout outs. You know, Ben from BS3 Sports.
He's always good to us.
Yeah, Po Boys, Married AF, the No Funny Podcast Network, Drinks with Larry, Blunt Mommy. All of you guys have done nothing but, and then everybody, of course, from the WLIP peeps. That includes Drew, which I'm not sure if I talked about this last time, but he got his apartment robbed. And he was robbed of his computer, his microphone.
Oh, that's rude.
Everything. And he's a teacher, so it's not like he's making big dollar bills, y'all. Luckily, though, the WLIP pod or WLI pod peeps put together a fundraiser for him and was able to raise a little over $1,000 to help get him started back up, and everybody kind of pitched in some of their extra equipment they had to kind of help get the real feels back on their feet again. So shout out to all of them, and most of all to the Real Feels podcast. We're glad that you guys are getting back on track, and I think
that is awesome.
That is really awesome, and I think that's honestly all I've got.
That's cool, man. That really rounds it up. Thank you for your shout outs.
Yeah, I do what I can.
I wish I could remember what I wanted to talk about next podcast. I think it had something to do with judging people.
Let's do it.
I love judging. We could do a poll and then discuss that. I like doing those podcasts.
Those are really fun. So yeah, you put up the poll, and honestly, like, I'm ready. I'm ready to get back in this. So
maybe we could tweet out like 2 hours before our podcast, like who wants to be on, and just have a surprise guest. You know,
ooh, that would be really fun too.
You know, like how you've hopped on podcasts before, like that.
Yeah, when you get bored and you're like, "Want to pop on a podcast? Let's go."
Call it Russian roulette podcast style.
Oh my god, I love it. It'd be so great. It'd be so great.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you next episode.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.